Hi guys, I'm Lottie. Welcome to my channel. I thought I'd do a little Q&A for you guys today, just so you can get to know me a bit better. All these questions were asked on my Instagram, which I'll put somewhere on the screen so you can follow if you're not already. But just to start off with, when did you get into motorsport? So I've loved cars my entire life. Literally, since I was probably like 2 or 3, I've always loved cars, playing with toy cars, watching films about cars. I never fully got into watching motorsport until last year, so 2024, when I started watching F1 and haven't looked back since, pretty much. And then this year I've sort of broadened the series that I watch, and I watch majority of the stuff I watch is motorsport related or car related. So the next question is, what series do I watch? So I obviously watch F1, F2, and F3. I watch them all. I watch British F4 and sometimes Italian F4, depends when it is and if I have time. I also watch GB3 and GB4. Those are like my main series that I watch in person, especially because they're easy, cheap to go to. I love IndyCar. IndyCar is like a dream race of mine to go to. Any of them, honestly, I would love to be there. I watch Indy Next as well if it's on an IndyCar weekend. I'd love to start watching Rally. That's one I'd love to watch, but I just haven't yet, I guess. And then I watch Elms, IMSA, and the British touring cars, which touring cars, in my opinion, is one of the best series out there. A lot of people will disagree, but I personally think it's like the right mix of racing, so it's good quality of racing, but it also can be chaos. So might be a bit biased there, but I do love touring cars. And then the other one was, which is my favourite motorsport series, which honestly I think I'd have to say GB3. I get to go to GB3 races sometimes because I find it more affordable, and the UK based races especially. Hoping to go abroad next year for a race potentially, but that's definitely my favourite series at the moment. I like watching GB4 when it's on. Obviously, it tends to be on a GB3 weekend, so I'll watch that as well, just catch up with a few of the drivers I've spoken to, especially. The next question is, when did I first watch an F1 race? Which was a while ago. I don't remember the first F1 race I watched. Well, I do remember it, I just don't know which race it was because I was 5 or 6 maybe at my uncle's house and he had it on and I watched it with him, but nothing really came of it then until last year. Next question is, who do I think will win the F1 World Drivers' Championship? Now, I am a Lando fan myself, so I would say Lando, but I think Oscar is a very good driver, honestly. I think it will definitely be one of them, but that's kind of obvious. Just which one it is will obviously depend on the rest of the season. I could very much see either of them winning it. I think if Lando sits on his current form, he has a good chance of winning it. Same with Oscar. Obviously, Lando DNF'd in Canada, so that was a bit hard to take. But he's also had a lot of wins this season, as well as Oscar. Let me say that. But and people will be like, "Oh, Lando," because he's been in McLaren longer. But I don't see it as that. I see it as whoever's the better driver at the end of the day, making less mistakes, will be the one to win it. I want Lando to win it. I think Lando can win it, so I'm going to say Lando, although Oscar has a very, very high chance of winning it. The next question is from my friend Madison, actually. She loves this question, so shout out to Madison. And it's, if you could pick any tool from a toolbox, what are you picking and why? Which, it depends what I'm doing, I guess. So probably, I don't know, maybe a drill because they're quite powerful and like, it reminds me most of a wheel gun for an F1 car, or any sort of car actually. And when I was younger, I always used to help my dad with the drill. So I guess a drill, maybe, or a screwdriver, something like that. The next question is, why content creation? Now, I've thought about it for forever, doing content creation, but I was going to start it in One Direction, which, as you may be able to tell from the vinyls behind me and this pillow, I am a massive One Direction fan. I have been since the start, so since 2010, 2012. I was 2 in 2010, but apparently I watched it on X Factor, watched them on X Factor, so I take it as I was a fan then. And besides the point, that's not the question. I think for me, it's just the career I want to go into. It can be really beneficial because I want to go into marketing slash content creation in motorsport when I'm older. So I think it's a really good starting point, and it's helped me to build a lot of confidence. So I was one of those kids where in school I'd be told, need to talk more, need to ask more, things like that. And I think just starting doing this has made me a lot more confident. I've spoken to a lot more people, I've wanted to experience a lot more, and it's just really helped boost my confidence, even though I know that anyone can see this and anyone can judge. But those people are fake. I don't know who they are. So if they say it to me, I don't know who they are, I don't really care. I tend to shut it out and be like, well, they don't know who I am, I don't know who they are, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's definitely more of a gaining experience and working towards my future kind of thing as to why content creation was what I've decided to do in the past year or so. The next question is, what do I find the hardest about making content? And it's definitely the views. So obviously TikTok and Instagram, you get views on them depending on the hashtags and what content you post. And I definitely find that's one of the hardest things when it comes to making content. Of I could spend forever doing it and then no one really sees it. Um, but the other thing is thinking of content to post. So I could do a lip syncing video, but no one particularly wants to see that because they've seen that all over TikTok. So it's thinking of the original content that no one's seen before that I would definitely say is one of the hardest things, because even if you think of something, you might then search it up and find that someone's done it that you haven't seen before. And obviously, it can get quite controversial if you use someone's ideas and without, like, especially if you've seen it before and you don't tag them in it or show that that's where you found it originally. So that's definitely one of the hard things, is thinking of content to post. I will go sometimes days without posting, sometimes weeks, depending on what I'm doing, because I have no content. And then a race weekend will come up that I go to, and it'll be content daily, hourly sometimes, which I do find that spreading that content out over weeks or months definitely helps more, but also kind of gets washed away because people are like, well, that happened ages ago, so it doesn't really matter. So that's another one of the struggles, is when to post things and what to post. Next thing is best advice for someone going into content creation. Now, I've said this before, but if it's more of a confidence thing, block people you know if you don't want them seeing it, because then you're posting to a thing of no one knows who you are, and they can't judge because they don't know you in person. I mean, they can judge, but why? Because it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Make sure you're organised. So if you know you want to post a lot, know what you want to post and when you want to post it. And don't, I sometimes get a bit excited when I make content and I'll post it all in one go and then the views just aren't there. So that's definitely one of my bits of advice, is break out content over a period of time rather than just all at once. And then if you're editing things and using like CapCut, for example, don't over exaggerate what you're doing, because it's not, people are less like attracted to it because it's, the original content is kind of pushed to the side and it's all these fancy words and music and stuff. And I try to stick away from that, but sometimes a video just isn't interesting and you have to, so you kind of have to know like the difference between what you should and shouldn't put into it in a way. But yeah, I definitely say just ignore what people think. You don't have to read comments, you can turn comments off, but I find that comments do help with boosting the views on the video and the traction that it gains. So don't care what other people think is probably my best bit of advice. Why did I begin photography? So I've wanted to do photography for a while now, but I've never had a camera, and the camera I use isn't my camera, it's my uncle's, so I'm very grateful to him for letting me borrow it when I'm at a track. But I began in April this year when I went to Brands Hatch for testing for British Air 4, GB3 and GB4. I really enjoyed it, but you could definitely see that it was my first time because I'm still getting used to like the different controls on the camera, but I can see progress in what I'm doing. Others may not be able to, but personally, I can see progress. But I've also always been into editing. Editing a photo to see the progress in it is just something that I really enjoy. And then the thought of gaining my portfolio, so doing content creation and photography, I definitely think will help me later in life, because of going into a social media / marketing role. You may need to do photography, so I'll have that experience, but I'll also have the experience of talking to drivers and things like that. So it's mainly to help grow my portfolio, but also because I just really enjoy taking photos and videos. Then it's, what do I want to be doing in the future? So I hope to be doing marketing or social media or potentially hospitality in motorsports. Now, not necessarily F1. I think that's the highest point, and I feel like if you go down from there, you don't get as satisfied from it. So I definitely like GB3, British F4, F2, F3, things like that. But I'd also love to work in IndyCar, which is a goal of mine, is to go to an IndyCar race, which I think I've already said. But I just love to. It's one of my favourite racing series, and I think just getting to be around that and seeing the content that's already produced and thinking I could be doing that, that just really like attracts me and makes me like, it's just what I want to do basically. Final question is, what is my favourite part about making content? So I've made many friends through making content, including Madison, who and well, Madison and Taylor and Izzy, and there's a bunch of people that I've met through doing content, and I find that we really bounce off each other because we're all doing the same thing. And if someone has an idea but doesn't know how to sort of produce it, then we can work together, and you can like work out as a group how to produce it and like make it the best possible. So I definitely think that's beneficial, but also the opportunities that it's given me. So getting to tracks, obviously, well, not obviously, but I haven't been given specifically any opportunities by people, but just having that opportunity to go to a track and possibly getting recognised and having the drivers willingly do interviews with me and speak to me. But yeah, I'd definitely say it's the friends I've made, because some of these people I'm planning on going trips with and things next year. So that's definitely helped me and been one of the best things about making content. But also, I run a podcast with my friend Kira, who I only actually met last year in my first year of college. But motorsports was the reason we talked and started our podcast, which is called Race Day and Real Talks, if you want to check it out. Um, but yeah, motorsports as a whole has really like broadened my friendships and given me a sense of a community that I feel welcomed in a way, and that everyone is kind of doing the same thing as me. So I don't you don't stand out, but if you're doing different things to everyone else, or even similar things, like you obviously get ideas from each other and you can talk, and it gives you content in a way. So I definitely think that's one of the best things about making content for me, is the people I've met and the opportunities that I may be able to get. That is my Q&A over, so I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to do some more vlogs on here of racetracks and maybe some more videos like this.